Hi, my name is Selena Hunter, and this is my final project presentation for my Criminal Justice 2210 course. I did do a PowerPoint presentation for this project, and I will upload this PowerPoint presentation to Canvas as well. For my video portion of this, I'm going to be presenting off of that PowerPoint presentation, so I will tell you which slide I'm on as I'm on each slide. For slide number 1 is my introductory slide, so it's my final project presentation. My name is Selena Hunter. For the second slide, so on to slide number 2, this is my crime. So my crime is that the officer received a call from dispatch regarding a possible domestic violence complaint. When the officer responded to the call at 222 Manor Drive, a man by the name of Gabriel Johnson stated that he heard loud yelling, commotion, and what sounded like gunshots coming from his neighbor's home. Mr. Johnson, who is the witness, pointed the officer in the direction of the commotion at 220 Manor Drive, the home of Macy Green. Upon arrival to Miss Green's home, the officer took note of a green truck in the driveway. When the officer entered the home, everything inside was strewn about. The officer stumbled upon Miss Green naked on the kitchen floor. She was crying and claiming that her boyfriend, Mitchell Gardner, had raped her, fired 2 gunshots at her, and then ran out the back door of the home. Meanwhile, the officer noticed a baby crying from the other room. So for slide number 3, this is more about the witness. The witness is Gabriel Johnson. He's a 48-year-old man, Caucasian man, who lives next door to the victim. He's divorced and lives alone with his dog. He doesn't have any unresolved issues with the suspect or the victim, and he never saw anything that happened with his own eyes other than the suspect fleeing the home, but he couldn't pinpoint who exactly the suspect was. He made the report based off of everything he heard, not necessarily anything that he saw. So on to slide number 4. Slide number 4 is more about the suspect himself. The suspect is Mitchell Gardner, the boyfriend. His family and friends call him Mitch. He's a 32-year-old Caucasian man. He has brown hair, brown eyes. He's approximately 72 inches tall at 215 pounds. He and the victim, Miss Macy Green, began dating a few months ago, and everything that I've accumulated from all of my investigations and all that kind of stuff is that he and her relationship was toxic right from the start. He's got a very narcissistic way of doing things. He cut her off from her family and friends. The relationship's just not a good one. The victim stated that the suspect is the one who committed the crimes. So when the officer stumbled upon her naked on the kitchen floor, she immediately said that Mitchell Gardner, her boyfriend, is the one who committed this crime against her. And then, the witness, the neighbor, stated that he believed the man running out of the victim's home out the back door was Mitchell Green, given the fact that Mitchell's truck is the one that was in the driveway. So the witness knew that the truck belonged to Mitchell. On to slide number 5 was my interview techniques for the witness. I use the oblique approach on the witness because I think that it opens up the scenario for the witness to tell the story. So the witness doesn't have anything to hide. He doesn't have any problems with either the suspect or the victim. He's not friends with either one of them, so he can't necessarily be biased. He has no positive or negative emotions toward either one of them, so again, no reason to be biased. This approach opens up the scenario so that he can just tell his story free-flowingly, and he doesn't have to worry about anything. He can tell his story and be on about his day. So on to slide 6 was my interview technique for the suspect. So for the suspect, I used the PEACE approach. It's basically an approach that leads a suspect to produce more verbal and nonverbal cues of detection as compared to the more confrontational methods of interrogation. This approach is kind of like the oblique approach, where it allows the suspect to tell their story in a way that allows them to speak freely. So they can speak freely, they feel more comfortable, they may be more willing to give more information, that kind of stuff. So the investigator allows the suspect to tell their side of the story without interruption. And then towards the end, they present the suspect with any inconsistencies or contradictions between their story and other evidence. So basically, you would interview them and then be like, hey, well, we have this information. So again, why did you lie about this, basically? This approach is a bit different than the typical hard questioning type of approaches, because the suspect would be more likely to talk. It gets them more comfortable. It has a more friendly feel to it, so that maybe the suspect, it will be more open and more likely to tell exactly what happened instead of their version of what happened. For slide number 7, this was my interrogation method and why I use this interrogation method. So I use the read technique because it's very hard hitting. The READ technique is a highly structured method that begins with a fact analysis and then a behavior analysis, and then if the investigator is certain of the suspect's guilt, they continue into a 9-step interrogation approach. This technique doesn't give the suspect a chance to tell their story or add details. So basically, this is like the interrogator's way of being like, hey, we know you did it, so why don't you just tell us? I think that this makes it more likely for the suspect to tell the truth in the end, because it doesn't give them a chance to add more details or to lie about anything, because this is more of like a, we know you did it, you may as well tell us. Like, they just keep going with that. They keep denying the denials, basically. The READ technique is a great technique for me to use, given the fact that I'm just trying to talk him into telling the truth. He's already given me his version of what happened during the interview process, so I don't need any more details. I already have all of the details, and during the interview process, he actually stated a few things that were incriminating. So I do believe that he committed this crime, so now I just need to get it out of him. He needs to basically just tell me that he did it. So for 8 was my information, slide number 8 was my information gathered during the investigation, interviews, and interrogations. So during the investigation, I could see that there was a struggle. There was, all of the property inside the home was strewn about. I gathered that 2 shots were fired based off of like bullet casings and holes in the walls, that kind of thing. We also gathered a rape kit for the suspect against the witness. There was signs, or not the witness, I'm sorry. The suspect and Miss Green. Miss Green was the person who had been raped or said that she had been raped. There was a rape kit done, and it did prove that the suspect and her did have sexual relations prior to the event that took course. There was the truck in the driveway, the green truck, which did belong to Mitchell, the suspect. His truck was there, so basically it put him at the scene of the crime. And then the eyewitness, the witness didn't necessarily have eyes in the situation. He just saw that someone had left out the back door fleeing the home on foot. So, but he did hear everything. He heard the yelling, the throwing of the object, and he did hear the gunshots at the end. And then the victim, on her victim report, did state that Mitchell had done this to her. The suspect, during the interview and the interrogation, showed anger when we mentioned rape. He didn't like that we mentioned rape, but he did say that they did have sex. And, you know, she was scared, so that is technically rape, even if she said that it was okay during the process. And then same thing with the interrogation. The interrogation, he said that he did it. He admitted to it. So for slide 9 was any ethical and legal issues. So ethically, we didn't want to force him into a false confession. We wanted to make sure that he knew that he didn't have to confess to a crime that he didn't commit. Which actually did happen during my investigation. My partner did do that. She was like, well, basically, if Miss Green said I did it, then I did it. No, that's not okay. I need a confession, a real confession. Legally, I had to make sure the Miranda rights were read and that they knew that they could have a lawyer if need be. And then go ahead, and slide number 10 is my references. So this is my final project presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.